So this is not February 23rd, but this is the agenda for tonight's meeting. Thanks for making sure those made it around. I'm Ben Northstar, this is Ana Rosa, and we had a little bit of a introductory meeting in January, and so tonight we wanted to get into it a little bit more with the project. And we've got a few things that we need to talk about, primarily around this structure and the role of this group, and how we're going to start thinking about public participation in general, making sure people in town are aware of what's going on and able to participate in what's going on, and then talk about a spring meeting specifically. What would that look like? Where would it be? When would it be? And that kind of thing. So, any quick questions before we get started? Anything from the last meeting?
How many surveys have we received?
I'm about to update. I can go right ahead. We've got 6 hard copies and 41 online responses.
Can you say that again?
6 hard copies we've received and 41 online responses.
So why don't you roll right into...
Yeah. So since our last meeting, we have launched both the website and the survey. Thank you to anybody who was able to give your feedback on that survey and get that working. So we launched both of those in time for the 200th anniversary volunteer night. That was great. Just to make sure people who were there knew about it. Also, thank you to Karen for really making sure that hard copies got handed out there. And yeah, since then we've had quite a few responses. We've also had 48 newsletter signups. So this is the newsletter through our website that we're collecting emails for, and that's for anybody in Sebago who's interested in staying up to date for the comp plan. And so that we will be sending sort of updates about where we are in the process, any new materials, and any workshops that we'll have as well to that newsletter group. And I want to mention at this point, you all should be on this committee newsletter group coming from Garrett. Make sure if you're not that you talk to him. So you all will be sort of on to getting both of those general newsletters and obviously committee specific. I've got the website up behind me if you haven't already seen it. It is plansebago.com, so check it out. And encourage, of course, all your friends, especially to go and get involved and take the survey. And we do have already hard copies here at the town office as well. If anybody needs hard copies, they can come and pick one up here, and we will talk tonight about other places that we should have hard copies to distribute in town.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's it for the update.
Okay. We will be talking a little bit more about the survey of public participation in the next couple items here, but I think the first thing that we wanted to really get into new is a little bit about how this group will be organized and conduct its business. I did note that the agendas for things for this committee are with the other committee agendas posted over by the front door. But I wanted to kind of really just revisit some of these things that I think we touched on very briefly at the last meeting, where the role of this group generally is to kind of, the way I put it on the agenda was to be the keepers of this process. Like this isn't the town office's plan, this isn't Northstar's plan. I want to make sure that people in this room understand one of your key roles is to be almost like an ambassador, kind of bringing the work of this group out to the community, into your own networks, and to make sure that we are hearing from all of the different stakeholders in town. So Another important role is to help review materials as it's prepared and as, we, for example, if we're going to write a summary of a public meeting and you look at it and say, well, you didn't say anything about people who are involved in outdoor recreation, or you didn't say anything about the people that I spoke with that were from the school district. So making sure that those are complete, making sure they're accurate, looking at the summary of survey results and inventory chapters as we work on those and before they go out to the community or get posted on the website. So in regard to the structure of the committee, if you think about the select board or the planning board, there's a chair, there's a vice chair, there's minutes, there's voting. And lots of times with an ad hoc committee like this, where it's kind of a group of people that are pulled together for a specific project like this, there may not be that kind of structure. So I wanted to find out if there were expectations from people about, would this be the kind of group that has a chair who helps set the agendas and runs the meeting and the meeting minutes and, and we'll start meeting with attendance and voting on meeting minutes and that kind of thing? Or alternatively, I've seen groups like this be much less formal, kind of like a sounding board for the process where we're more or less creating the agendas with staff and folks can come to these meetings. Sometimes there often will be homework between meetings, but it's not like the other kinds of town committees that have chairs and minutes and those kinds of things. So just want to open it up for questions or if people have impressions or expectations around how this group will be doing its business as we get started. Thanks.
Does staff mean Garrett, and would he have enough time to do the extra work besides what he already has for work in the town?
There will be a little extra work, and we talked about that as part of the proposal process. He's going to be the point person on the official town side of it, and he will be reviewing agendas and those kinds of things, but not like a chair would, for example. So I don't know, if anyone had signed up with an expectation around how this group would work, if there'd be voting, for example, or if there'd just kind of be consensus, we make decisions through consensus. I will, spoiler alert, my preference is to avoid Robert's rules and voting as much as possible and to be more of that collegial consensus discussion kind of mode more. But before I made any decisions, I just wanted
What's more commonplace when you dealt with this elsewhere?
For a group, ad hoc group like this, it's a little more consensus based.
Yeah. I got too much of Robert's rules.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd
Consensus
like
is good.
to, I don't think we need a chair and all that organization.
Okay.
I think we should
I would
try
agree.
that.
I think the idea of we're gonna hire you, you're the structure.
Okay.
And we'll tag in wherever we can, where it's beneficial as a group, but I agree.
My only concern would be minutes,
Oh, go ahead.
because not everybody here will be here every time. So how are we gonna track what has happened? Is it video? Just make sure that everyone has access.
Got it.
I think the consensus would work, but if it doesn't, then we can go to more of the other, so.
That's very
That's
true.
right, Margie.
Okay. So to your question about meeting notes, minutes, how do we keep records of decisions and those kinds of things? Will all of these meetings be recorded and available on the,
Yeah, I intend to record all of them. This one's being recorded right now.
okay,
And they'll all be available on the town website. I post the videos on the work YouTube account, so they're available through the website. I'll post them on Facebook. So if you want to catch up, if you prefer the video, then that'll always be available.
So I think in addition to that, I often take my notes. You've got an agenda in front of you. I would provide an annotated agenda, like, so under each one of these items, just a few bullet points, some decisions made, like, it would not be verbatim minutes. And if there's no motions and those kinds of things, that's not gonna be in there. But as long as there's some record of decisions that we've made along the way and next steps, I think that in this format is generally what I would expect. Great. So I think with that said, we can always revisit this. This is one of those things that I want to make sure it's working for this group, and I want to make sure it's working for the town. So in the spirit of things that we may revisit later, the next item has to do with the public participation plan. And what you have in front of you is basically excerpts from our proposal about the points at which this effort would be touching the public, those points of interaction along the way. You saw the website, and that's going to be more of the ongoing. Anytime someone wants an update, they can go look at the latest maps, look at the latest materials, find out when the next meeting is. But the public participation plan you have in front of you is from our proposal about, the first big workshop we want to talk a little bit more about. Had some items on there and other ways we'd be reaching out to people as we go. So did you want to chime in with anything before we dive into any of the specifics on there?
No, I don't think at this time. We'll go into the specifics of the network
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah, jump right in.
I have a question. Are we going to start with what we have and go through that? Is that how we're going to do it?
When you say start with what we
The
have.
comprehensive plan,
Yes.
2006?
Yeah. So I think you saw a little bit of that in the survey, where we highlighted a couple items from specifically related to the vision. And as we get a little deeper into this process and we start thinking about recommendations and next steps and, things that people or groups in town can do, we'll be looking at that plan to see.
Each and every one?
Yes, so what has been done, what hasn't been done, which ones are still relevant. Exactly, yeah.
So you don't throw out the good.
Exactly, yeah. So in order to help think about some of these things that are on the list, Omarosa and I had put together
Could you turn the
a little bit of a spreadsheet that we wanted to use as a framework for a discussion for maybe 15 minutes this evening, just to kind of get things started. We know that there are a number of existing groups in town, and groups like the Chamber of Commerce or the Land Trust that have maybe multiple towns that they're thinking about, but Sebago is one of those towns. And those individuals and groups are what we think of as stakeholders in this process. So they have an interest, it might be a professional interest, it might be a personal interest, it might be they own property, but these are the folks that we want to make sure we're reaching out to. So when we think about a first public meeting specifically, we want to make sure that it's open to everybody and we advertise it widely and people are hearing about it, hopefully in several different methods, whether it's online, in person, announcements at other meetings, those kinds of things. But there's probably going to be some people in town, and we were guessing that maybe there's even a few people in this group that might be really key connectors in the community, that might be part of networks that exist. Like maybe you're in a member of the Land Trust and you're on the snowmobile club and you are on the school board. And thinking of those people who the groups, number one, but also then the individuals of who do we need to make sure we're reaching that will help us expand. So it's not just up to Garrett, it's not just up to us, but we're starting to use this group to kind of help reach out into the community so that people are being, getting proactive invitations and understanding what these things are so they can talk with all their friends and neighbors as well. So, do you want to talk a little bit more about how we've started to think about mapping this network?
Yeah, and I think I would also add to that saying like this is a way to really raise awareness, like targeted awareness, and targeted making sure that people are aware of especially the survey and that we really can get a high number of respondents to that. So it takes work. Obviously, we can't just let the survey sit on a website. We have to make sure people are actually aware of that or aware where they can get a hard copy. So this is a key part of that. This is our spreadsheet that we are working from, and we'll definitely keep it updated throughout the process, but maybe it gives you an idea of what we're looking for and what we're thinking about. So we've broken it down into a couple of categories, kind of what Ben was talking about, the different sort of social groups or volunteer groups, or maybe your road association that you are part of or exists in Sebago and somebody else who's key in these groups. So thinking about what those groups are, which kind of category they fall into, and then who's the key individual. Could be, of course, the organizer of that group or the chair, but might also just be somebody who's a very engaged volunteer, or yourself. And then the contact information for those people. Making sure that we can get in contact with them and know how to kind of network from that person out. So one of the things that we're going to ask you to do for the next meeting is think about this in your Sebago community and come back with contact information or ideas for the next meeting, or email Garrett before the meeting if you have them already.
Do folks have an idea of what we're trying to do here, what we're looking for?
So I'm really worried that at this stage of the game, we have less than 50 surveys of all the taxpayers, permanent residents, part-time residents. And what that says to me, and so as I do my daily walk, every person I've encountered on my road, I have had to educate about this process. They didn't know anything about it.
Sure.
And we're trying to get the word out that way, but I think it is not efficient, and the evidence is the fact that we have less than 50. And I think the town is in a better position than we are in some ways. So for example, the sign by the school. The sign by the school that everybody drives by, shouldn't it say, hey, we're reviewing the comp plan, there's a survey, it's really, I'm paraphrasing, but a short punchy message to get people's attention. Hard copy surveys down at the school in a pile, so when parents come in, they have the survey. And what we could also do, what I think this is another frustration that I had was when I went to do the survey, finding the survey wasn't easily obvious.
Yeah, that's why I commented on your post. I'm like, here's the link, because you have to search for it on the website. No discredit to whoever did it. But I had to search for it myself. So I commented the exact link to open it.
Yeah, right. And so what I was wondering is if we had a half-page bullet point list that it's a bullet point that makes it very easy for people to digest in their busy lives. The comprehensive plan does this. We're reviewing it, and here's what can happen, if we change it. And oh, by the way, like we say in this itinerary, this process belongs to the public. It doesn't belong to us, doesn't belong to the town, and we can't do justice to that if members of the public don't know about it and can't easily access it. So if we gave them like a half-page or one-page bullet point list that just spells it out, points out where the survey can be found, whether it's hard copies at the town hall or on the website, how to easily access it on the website. We have to make it easier for people and, you know, maybe even a mailer. I don't know if the town has thought about, just because like we have a lot of people who don't necessarily go on the Facebook page or have access to the town website. You know, how are they gonna know? I don't think we've done a good job out of the gate promoting two things. We're reviewing the comprehensive plan, this is why it's important, and this is your comprehensive plan, people. Fill out the survey and tell us what you want. Because otherwise it's gonna be...
Is that what you were trying to get at though with the contacts? Is like if we get these groups and the contacts, we contact them and have them talk to their group and try to get, but we
So-
still need things to hand out or things to...
Yeah, I think there's two things. One was, we were talking initially, and I think folks I saw some nodding heads, when we're trying to like build, just like we're trying to build an email list, we want to make sure that we understand who do we need to be reaching out to when it comes to things like surveys and workshops and those kinds of things. And what I'm hearing you say is how do we more broadly distribute that information overall, whether it's, and it's a little different, like we're talking about like how do we kind of map the community's connections, and I think what we're moving into is what are the ways besides a Facebook post saying, hey, there's a website and a survey there. What are the other ways we can let people know specifically about the survey, but maybe the effort more broadly?
So I know before we have sent out a postcard to every taxpayer, and somebody that owns 10 lots is gonna get 10 of them. But what you get is everybody gets something. And you get the parties like myself who are less computer savvy. I don't watch the computer all day long. My wife does, unfortunate there, so I get an alarm when there's an alarm. But thank God for that. But the reality is it's not that expensive, probably $1,000 at this point. Last time we did it, I think it was $700. And you send a colored postcard so it shows up different, so they don't just deep six it the second the mail comes in. And you put the outline, put the website, put the directions on how to get to the survey, how to order the survey yourself or do it online is more efficient, of course. But that way, we've met the obligation of reaching out to every party. I think if you don't do that, the connectivity in this town, quite frankly, beyond the immediate people who come to all the meetings, and that's very few, is poor. And it's poor because we have two parties having to work to support a household these days. You gotta have somebody watch the children, and you gotta have somebody watch the dog. There's no other time. And young people are under tremendous pressure not to participate. So I think if we don't do something like that, we fail.
Yeah, and I think as we hear some of these other ideas,
I'm sure there's better ideas.
Well, we found that like if you see a Facebook post and see a sign by the school and see something here and get something in your mailbox, if you hear about something from a few different avenues, you're more likely to pay attention to it. Even if you just post on Facebook every week, that audience is only so big. And I think what we're going to be looking for are other things we can do. So a couple other hands.
Piggybacking on what you were saying about the weekly flyer that we get.
Weekly shopping.
Shopper's Guide.
What is it?
The Shopper's Guide?
Yeah, we get every Tuesday and Wednesday.
What's our budget?
Put in
Should be.
an advertisement. I mean, I always check it to see who dogs. I do see other
That's a good
things.
question, right?
The other thing I was thinking as we talked is if we had a sign at the transfer station, where every citizen goes.
Yeah.
A big sign, not just
A good sized
yeah,
sign,
right.
and maybe even say on a set with a QR code. And if we hand out a
That's
postcard then the QR code's on it, so
Yeah.
it's easy. We've
Yeah.
got to make it easy for people to participate.
I agree.
And maybe even the staff down there has a clipboard with the hard copies they hand out, or for a
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, and just
Yeah.
say, everybody comes through here, hand them out.
I like the
Survey.
sign. The sign is pretty cheap. One sign there gets most people.
And with a QR code
It's great.
incorporated, it takes you directly to the survey.
With a paper to remind you when you get home.
Right, it's quick and easy, and that's when you're gonna get more input, if it's something that's quick and accessible, and they don't have to look for it. Right.
Could I hear a couple more locations like that? I mean, we've
Sure.
thought about this a little bit beforehand too, but
Post office and George's office.
post office,
The
Jordan's.
library will do it,
And
you
Jim's,
know.
when it's open.
And if you wanna get the younger folks
Jim's
involved,
North Sebago.
probably down below at the town hall for the kids that are coming in for basketball and everything else. So the families, as they come through, see it on the wall. And if it was ball season, I'd say down on ball fields, but obviously it's a little early for that.
But it should be done with ball fields as well, once you open it.
Eventually, one has
Basketball's not over.
And maybe we need to loop in camera director out there to,
Yep.
make sure he has them available.
Also, I think instead of just organizations, or to bring in some of the organizations, the surrounding towns that we touch. I'm thinking like Ward's Cove, a lot of those people, they think they're Sebagans. You know, they don't feel like they're part of Standish. They use our library, they just feel like a part of Sebago. And so we gotta reach those people.
We're at different tax brackets.
Yeah, no, that's,
How does that work? Should we outreach to somebody that's close but not a resident?
I think the way we had done it on the survey was really anybody can take the survey, but there's a place for you to say, do you live in town or not?
Right.
Okay.
And I think that what you'll find in like many communities, like the Sebago community may not just be within the town boundaries. There are people who
Right.
are occasionally coming down. They're not gonna get a taxpayer, postcard, but they they rent a house for a month every year and they feel like maybe they want to be involved and they should have an opportunity probably to do
Business owners
that.
and employees who work within the town,
That's another great
we
example.
want their input, but it'll just be noted they're not residents.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So I think,
SKK.
We have
It's not a
some,
good place to
question.
have that.
Yeah.
we have some
You know what I'm
people
talking
too who are very
Like the
involved.
Sportsman's Kitchen and Care.
Especially, I know some people in East Sebago are very involved in Sebago, even though they only live here part-time. But what about going to, like Naples, and Bridgeton, and finding out what some of their organizations are that may have something to do with Sebago?
yeah, let's come back to that.
Okay.
I think another location would be Jordan's store. But just big picture. And, a lot of this has been hinted at. One is, this is our town, this is our survey, this is our chance. And the fact that people are busy, young, old, busy. I mean, like how many times do you see something that says, fill out this survey? And you're like, God. Like, I think that the message matters. Like, not just, hey, there's a survey. I think this is an opportunity to educate on what the survey is, that this won't happen for another 25 years, the last time.
And why it matters.
And why it matters. And that your voice matters. Your voice counts. Because I think that's something that was like, oh, I mean, who's actually gonna read this? Why is it worth my time? I think the message matters.
Yeah.
I was feeling kind of like Bev and others that we weren't getting the message out, and that's why I made those mock-up posters just as examples. And I think maybe we don't use them exactly as I did it, but maybe we could figure out parts of it that would be useful and post them fairly quickly at the different areas, Jordan's, the town hall, the library, the transfer station, because they have bulletin boards there. we put up messages, for the town there.
Yep. So,
Go ahead.
Gas station.
If we were gonna have signs printed up, we could have some made up in the transfer station, the boat launch.
yep,
Yep.
The places that
common
people
places.
pass through regularly, the door, the town hall, maybe up here,
Yep.
whatever, that they just, if they see it, like you said, over and over again, it's a reminder that it's something that's happening that they need to be involved with.
Yeah.
Also, we're busy, but the pancake breakfast is gonna be at the town hall in 3 weeks.
Perfect.
That's like 700 people coming through the door if there's any volunteers that are able to be there.
Is that a Maple?
Maple Sunday, yeah. So if anybody's around to be there for that day, not us, but.
Well, one thing that I'm hearing, and I totally agree with the survey, when you see a survey, it's like, I'll do it later.
Especially this year.
Is there a way to have a piece of media printed, because not everyone's digital, that explains what this is about? Because it means a lot, and just talking about it isn't even enough. I think you need to have something to read.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of good ideas, and what I've heard is kind of spanning this range of quick and easy and simple, and giving people more information so they understand, what it is and why it's important. And it's kind of a balancing act on how to do that. We've done things from like a business card with a website and a QR code to a postcard with that on one side and then a couple paragraphs on the flip side that you can, and those things are meant to, like, every dog that gets registered, every library book that gets checked out, someone is getting, just, I think, same idea. Anytime someone goes to the transfer station, they're gonna get this. So there's things like that we can do. There's things like posters or yard signs that, again, you're probably not necessarily gonna stop and read like a school project poster, but if it's got like, a headline and a few bullets and a place to go for more info, that can be a great way to get people engaging with this effort. So I think your point made me think of, like, again, maybe we need to do something that's a little more longer format, a couple paragraphs, but you're not gonna put that on a business card that you might want to hand out to everybody that comes through a municipal doorway or through the transfer station. So there might be a range of things, 2 or 3 different things we could do. I don't know if that makes it.
No, I think it's right. I think you have to have, the Cliff Note version, which is what you're talking about, a business card, and move it up to one that wants to understand what they're doing. I mean,
If it's all branded the same too, so that
Yeah.
the postcard, the sign, the mailers, the website all look the same, and you know that, oh, that's that sign, why do I keep seeing that sign? And then you get a postcard in the mail with that, say, oh, that's what this is about, okay, and it connects. We wanna make sure that we brand it so that it's
So how
everybody
does-
recognizes.
So who would make
How
these
does this
signs?
product
Yeah.
move forward?
So we've got capacity to design and get some of these things prepared, and I think it's probably going to be a conversation with the town of if it's something that we, order a few things that versus we need to run off a couple hundred copies of postcards to hand out at the pancake breakfast, for example. There might be, again, just like there's a range of ways that we want to do this, but I think it starts with us kind of designing the content for these things. And usually what I'm picturing is a short, here's the website, a QR code, and Sebago comp plan. And then there's a longer version that has the 2 paragraphs of what I would call the elevator speech. Like, you could read it in about 20 or 30 seconds if you had that long to engage. And otherwise, there's a QR code you can go back.
And part of it's gonna be on us as a group to talk to our neighbors.
There you go.
Great.
Well, if we each got 10 people to do the survey, there's 150 or even surveys done. I'm guilty, I haven't talked to anybody. So I'm just saying that
There's still time.
that would be good.
That's hard to believe. So it sounds like the two-pronged approach. I love the bigger sign than we normally see, so it isn't like somebody advertising their service. Something a little larger that can have some real print on it, I think that's great.
We need something on it too to catch their attention, to get them to look at it.
Well, the library
Because
does.
we're inundated.
The library does a mass mailing every year. And David and I have suffered through those, and it takes more than one beer usually, but it's a thing that by the time you get done, you got a knot in your back and wish you didn't even go. But they did a service this year, and it costs less to have a service do a trifold, which you could do at least a one page, and maybe it's 2 pages, and you put the clips on it, it's okay to post that way, but the service does it. And it costs the library less to do this year by subbing it out than it cost them to mail them last year. So, you know, we can connect some dots here and just make it easier on ourselves too, but get some really nice product out.
So that's the kind of thing, like if there's things like that people are aware of. I was gonna say, sometimes when it comes to town mailing, a town does have the ability to do a specific mailing. Sometimes we insert something into the tax bills when that happens, because that's a normal mailing that is already happening.
Oh, I bet Garrett can attest, there's nobody hanging out here that doesn't have something to do already.
Yeah.
So it would be nice if we, in this process, took on some of that burden ourselves as a group and help them out.
Yeah, so let's hear
It's important.
1 or 2 more things, and then we'll talk more about that.
This town has seen their taxes go up quite a bit in the past 5 years. If we mention that updating our comprehensive plan makes us available to state grants, which we are not currently eligible for because we are so far out of date. If we talk about the money benefits, I think we'll get more attention that way.
And everybody benefits, they don't understand what it is.
Potential to get.
Millions. That we are not able to get because our comprehensive plan is so out of date.
Okay. So, you know, we have a lot of experience designing posters, yard signs, door hangers, business cards, all of these things. And we'll talk more about this with staff. But the one thing that you are the experts in is the town. And that's kind of where we started this part of the conversation is you guys are gonna know who's plugged into everything. My sense is, again, there's probably 2 or 3 people, maybe a dozen people in this room who are already those people. But if there are other people that we need to make sure are aware of this more than just kind of putting it on the web and doing a mailing and kind of hoping they hear about it, that's the exercise that Omarosa was talking about, that kind of kicked this part of it off. So we had talked about, this is kind of part of the homework is, in addition to promoting the survey, is sending ideas on some of those key organizations, key individuals, make sure that those get to Garrett and we can incorporate them into this effort. Is that a fair place to leave that part of the conversation? Okay. Awesome. Well, I appreciate the ideas on places in town that are going to be important to have signs, hard copies of the surveys, those kinds of things.
Churches too.
What about like trailheads? I don't know. That was something.
We have a few of those.
Yes.
Snowmobile, well,
Yeah,
Gas station.
Station.
I don't know that Shays would be beach comfortable handling.
I think they do a poster on the side of the building.
Yeah,
Like
do that.
the most of it, but
They have a sort of a bulletin on.
no.
no, because it's full service, so he comes to use, it's gonna be something big.
We ought to at least come up with a number of posters, you know, 2x2 posters, you know, what, make a list, Alan, Jordan's, library.
There's a dozen places.
Make a dozen of them, and we'll put them out, right?
not stick one like an election sign?
that sign by the school
Why not stick
is
one like an
kind of
election sign?
the one place.
Is that your sign?
That's huge.
Yeah, yes, that, yeah.
Is that a sign that the school's in charge of?
No, the town.
The town is?
Cameron, he's the rec director, he currently is the one that updates that and does a poor job.
He needs property.
Okay.
Also, the Lions Club uses the corner of 114 and Long Hill, and they put signs up, so they help.
The school is sort of like one of those places too, but they can do a Friday mailing to every parent.
Friday
So
folder.
Just
Like a
another
newsletter.
connection, it's another number, so.
I throw everything away that comes that I don't like, so I'm just saying, you have to think of your percentage of people that will actually read what you mail to them. So we have to make it really interesting for them,
I
because
agree.
I don't know.
Relevant.
Yeah.
I think,
Absolutely.
I think mailing to the whole town, an orange sticker, or orange, well, three,
We've done that.
three,
Rocco free.
so everyone has it.
Yeah.
And then.
Nobody can say I didn't get it.
Yeah, no, that
And I
makes
think
sense.
that's a type of
We
responsibility.
made our attempt to
Yeah.
get as many, and
Yeah.
and that's what our job is, not,
Right. Not to
We can only do
handhold
so
everyone.
Right.
but at least nobody can send it easy.
I wonder the sign, like across from the Jordans that says, "Welcome to Sebago."
Mhm.
Like just those signs, and they're probably at other places. I don't know if you can tack something onto it.
The Lions put up a banner there at Rich's store between the two telephone poles. Yep, we had a banner there, comprehensive
The Sebago
plan.
That would be awesome.
Review.
The library does it every day.
Until the Lions need to use it. Right now, no one's using it, so
There's
assuming
room.
we could use
You
it.
can stack them, it'll be room.
Is it,
I think it's open.
what, who's in charge of the banners? Lions, you said?
It's Sebago Days polls.
Sebago Day polls.
You know, something I'm sensing here is if we actually get a lot of people to fill this out, that's a big part of the point of this, is like buy-in and building community, apart from the plan. Just a sense of, oh, I'm part of this town.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of a segue into the first community workshop, the first meeting that would be like more than just taking a survey, more than going to the website. It's a chance for people to get into the same room with each other and have a focused conversation on the future of the town. And we had originally thought, and we talked a little about this last month, about an April meeting, right? So kind of based on when we started, we get a couple months into this, that's kind of like April. But I also heard some conversation that maybe we want to think about doing something a little later in the spring or early summer that would potentially get more seasonal summer folks involved as well.
That would be towards the
I'd say
end of
do
June to
both.
get most of them.
So, you know, I
After school
think,
gets out.
you're thinking about the timing of it is, you know, to me, there's anything before Memorial Day, say, is kind of a spring thing, and then usually the end of school is the end of like public meeting season in a lot of places because people are off doing things, but it also occurs to me that people are coming here to do those things, so maybe that wouldn't be, you know, a hard stop is like, we don't need to shut down public participation for the summer. So I'd be interested in thinking about timing of this, but also I think we put down some options for the format. We hadn't really locked into, you know, is this gonna be the kind of thing where one of us gives a 45-minute presentation on everything we've learned about Sebago and heard in the survey, or is it gonna be an open house where people just kind of walk around? Or even a community dinner where people can kind of, you know, bring up potluck and tell stories about town and share things about what they hope for the future. So,
Interactive activities would be good.
yes, so you know, even before we get into like, you know, are they gonna be structured table exercises, or are they gonna be posters on the wall that people can put sticky dots on, or is it gonna be more of an open house kind of format? I think we wanted to talk about the timing of this, and, you know, is Sebago gonna be the kind of place where we just set this room up for like 6 hours and let people drop in and out for 10 minutes and leave? Or is it gonna be, you know, you sit down and engage for an hour and a half with people?
I think the first
So
one, we're
the
gonna get
question
more
I-
people.
The question I have is, when we did our birthday party, and you had the piece of paper up where people could write something down, was there a lot of participation in that?
That was a good amount, I think,
Okay.
for beginning, that it's kind of the concept was being introduced.
And see, that's my, what I think is, before we can really have, I think, a meaningful meeting with a meaningful workshop in whatever its form, we have to have already engaged the public in a way that they are interested in coming and they understand why it's important for them to come. So question is, if we do this mailer and we put together these posters, maybe there's 3 messages on it. The first is, this is why the comprehensive plan is important, we're reviewing, whatever you come up with. And then you got to, oh, by the way, everybody has a voice, fill out the survey, this is how you do it. And we're gonna have a couple of workshops, one in the spring and one, whatever it is, and start getting, because I think you have to get people engaged before you actually have these things so that they're like, oh yeah, I wanna go to that, I wanna put it on my schedule. Because, you know, like you were saying, people are busy. And so,
The open house style, I think, is gonna fit into their schedule a little bit more too. I can take 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but I can't take an hour and a half, kind of thing.
Now, I wanna, your flip chart thing you did at the 200th, everyone I saw read it. Can we do that kind of thing at just different events? I mean, we're all volunteers, right? But can we force Rocco at Sportsman's to put a flip chart down there? And just so people come up and just read it, even if they put 1 or 2 things in it, something more. And engage, we can do it at the ball fields like you said, or just someone will go up and read it if we volunteer for an hour and just get more of that. Because that might not be a survey, but it's like little mini surveys. I thought it was effective myself.
And if you do that, you'd get different groups of people. You'd get the parents that go to the ball games, you'd get the people that go to Rumbles, you'd get, you know, people that go different places.
We want to make sure we get a good mix, good
Yeah.
representation.
I think it's real important to get one of these signs and the QR code and some information for the Maple Sunday that the Goons put on, because
Yeah.
there's 700 or 800 people that come out, but there's a lot of older people, I think, that come that.
That's right.
Well, that's why we need a bunch.
We don't see them the rest of the
Don't
year.
look at their Facebook page,
We
and
don't
it's
get
not
them
gonna.
out much, and
No.
that's one of
Yeah.
We'll
the-
need hard copies.
So
Hard copies would be probably
Yes.
used there.
I think
Just
this
have a
is-
big sign that says Rock Craft sells to Walmart.
The other thing is that in an event, you can have surveys there to pass out.
Yeah, for sure.
And what about we don't
Physical
have
copy
cheat
that
sheets?
someone can just
Yeah.
sat
I was
down.
talking to people.
Okay.
And they can even do it while they're having breakfast and give it to us on their way out the door, which is what some of them
Great,
do.
yeah.
We could have done it on the placemats.
They're gonna
Placemats
they're gonna
would
have
be very
turnover.
unhappy.
Not ordered yet.
Yeah?
Well, I'm in the process, so if there's changes.
I think the
maybe we
kids
want a
would be
QR
upset
code
if
on
we
the
changed the placemats.
Maybe the placemat is the actual survey, give a crayon.
I think there's are people envisioning this as a, like, you standing next to the sign and say, hey, answer these 2 questions about Sebago?
Peer pressure is great.
Or is it more of
Should he do it?
more
I
of
would do
a
it.
self-service thing?
Listen,
where you
I-
just kind of put these up?
You know what the most disturbing thing I ran into is I got a 27-year-old and a 29-year-old, and they have no freaking clue what's going on in anything, except their own lives. Do you think they're gonna read or do a survey? You gotta force them. So I'm thinking that's pretty good. Look at a busy family, we talked about it, 2 people working, running their kids to basketball, running them to soccer. We gotta kind of make them stop for that 1 minute and do it, even if it's informal, but
Or
that will at
even
least
where
get
they're
some answers out of them.
One
otherwise they
question
don't
here, one question there, yeah.
They won't care, they just don't,
Like
they
all
don't care.
my, like, look at Eric and I, we're the youngest ones in the room, no offense, but like, not many of our generation are involved, and a lot of like our generation still lives in town. I don't see them show up to anything.
Right.
Let me, do you, going to a comment that you made about getting, because I think you are 100% right. You can get people's attention if you make them, if you help them understand that this could impact them financially, whether it's being able to do grants or, you know, maybe someday down the line, we're working on a small business, I don't remember what the terminology you used last time, like an economic plan. The young people have an opportunity to say, you know what, I need some businesses in this town so that I can stay in the town and work in the town, but what does that look like? What do they want? Do they want Walmart or do they want a farm? I mean, what is it? I don't know. And so how do we get the young people to answer that question? I think that's absolutely essential to having a robust, comprehensive plan that actually does good for the town.
Flip up charts with one question here,
Yeah,
one
even,
question there, they won't ever do a
Short
survey.
attention.
Yeah.
yeah, 2 or 3
Yeah.
questions,
So-
like if you're in person.
At Maple Sunday, you could have 2 questions there.
Yeah.
You said that. And, you know, just ask them right then and there and mark it down.
I think this, what you all are hitting on is the need to have what I sometimes call the well-balanced approach to public participation. Just like we want to like make things available online and in person and have the short snippet and then the, you know, the page, one page, you know, multi-paragraph thing. We're going to want to give people an opportunity who really can dedicate an hour and a half, 2 hours to come in and sit down and do some paperwork and spend an evening with the folks in this room. And then we also want to be able to reach the people who are on their way to a basketball game and like, oh, I smell popcorn over here. Comp
Right.
plan? Like, okay, I'll answer a couple questions for a bag of popcorn. So there has to be a range.
You're onto something.
People aren't gonna like, yeah, like, I might not be able to spend 2 hours, but I could watch a 2-minute video and answer a couple
I
questions.
got a cotton candy machine.
The other thing is, if you have a little table at certain functions and you get the Girl Scouts involved, they will mind the kids while the parents do the survey. Or, well, the parents at least answer some questions.
Right. Good idea. So with that said, I mean, I think we know we want to engage folks a little deeper. Like, I really do like the idea of like, let's just come up with a couple questions that we can ask in a lot of places around town, just to, again, that high level, broad awareness. But we've also kind of scoped out this like more in-depth drilling a little deeper with folks in person.
And those would be different questions in different areas, different locations? Or would we just be asking the same 2 questions everywhere?
We can talk about that. Maybe before we totally leave that topic, I think I've done this a couple ways where like if we have 3 questions, you could have a board with a question and it might be at the library for a week. And then you rotate the signs around.
yeah.
So then there's a second
That's what I was
question.
thinking, so it isn't, you get a blend of.
Right. Or you could have 2 or 3 questions on a single board.
And people come
They
back
just-
and
they
say,
just leave
well,
it.
what's the question this week or
Yeah.
this month or?
And the 3 churches too.
So,
Plus they'll read it if it changes.
so we could do something like that. And again, it could be either self-service where you just like put it up at the library and someone checks on it a week later and switches the signs, or it might be the kind of thing where you're gonna stand there and say, oh, before you go get another, you know, round of French fries or something, answer, you know, a couple questions while you wait.
Think we can get Rocco to give away a beer every time we do?
Oh,
yeah, sure, Rock.
I'll have
past, so you must know what works best.
Maybe a light, those kinds of questions are really like a subset of the survey question, like the kind of thing that would literally take 10 seconds for someone to
Yes.
answer.
Not necessarily the questions, but how to get them out there. You must know how to do that.
Like on the kind of thing we're talking about as far as like creating those boards or posters that go around, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I think we should do that. But I also, again, think we should probably talk about how do we, for those folks who have more than 10 seconds and the folks that we really want to, have a conversation with, we will, have these kind of community workshops like in a gym or like the 200th birthday, just have it be much more focused on the comp plan. So that people are showing up and, sometimes it's an open house where you drop by and sometimes it's we really need you here for an hour and a half. Because each table is going to do 4 specific things and it's going to be very structured and there's going to be a presentation and that kind of thing.
You're gonna get the same people in this room to show up.
But if we talk to our friends and neighbors and try to bring a couple people with us.
That's our job.
That's what I meant by having a cheat sheet. Well, we all say the same thing to them, but they need to know what the comprehensive plan is. Most people don't know. We didn't know until we started working with town.
I'm concerned that we need to dive in a little bit and have and so that we are all really knowledgeable and have specific questions before we have workshops. Because if it's just overview, like the basic questions that were on the survey, I don't feel like we'll be able to draw much out of them if we haven't thought more about it ourselves.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's a fair point. What we normally do at a first workshop is a lot of listening. We're asking questions. It's less presentation, maybe a little background, but more of like we're asking and going deeper than you could go into a survey. We had envisioned this first workshop thinking about the future, thinking about the vision, the values, what does it mean to be a part of this community? What are the key things that need to carry through in the future for people to feel like the things that need to remain the same in the future are the same, and the things that need to change in the future, we have a sense of what those are as well. So I think that how we do that can be a lot of different options. And we put 3 on the agenda to get people thinking about. But what we're doing is getting people to engage with us as a group about what's important to the community to preserve and what are the things that need to be addressed to make the community even better going forward. And like I said, it's kind of putting those things out there and then listening back. As we go through this process, the more we learn, the better we'll be able to understand what some of the priorities should be. And as we get toward the end, we'll have things that we want to tell them. We'll have recommendations that we want to share. We'll have actions that need to be prioritized. But at this stage, while the survey's open and while these initial conversations are happening, that's what we envision as kind of the program for a first meeting. So that can happen through an open house. It could happen over a community potluck. It could happen, sitting around tables like this and asking people to do table exercises with, people at their tables. So some of those things are very formal. Some of them are a little more open. And I think that's kind of what I was wondering if this group was ready to start thinking about as far as either the format of it, but also the timing of it. Because I mentioned a few minutes ago, if it's important to make sure that we have an opportunity to get the folks who are only here in the summer, maybe we should be thinking about not doing this in April. Maybe we should be thinking about doing it kind of end of June kind of thing.
Why would we do more of the, to keep the energy moving?
So that is
And
also
do it in the summer. You know,
That's a possibility.
you know, if you wait too long, it's sort of like, okay, what did we do last time? And you gotta
You
almost.
can't have too much time in.
Right, right.
So something I'm thinking about, and it's a little outside the box, but what about getting this into the Sebago Elementary School and getting the kids to fill this out and have it be a civics lesson? Do you
That'd
still
be
have
great.
connections to the school? Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be interesting.
Right?
Right at the library.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised.
You get a whole different perspective.
You would.
Well, the kids sometimes have really good ideas.
Yeah, Julie, that's
And we
exactly.
teach them about growing.
But if the kids do it, then their parents are gonna do it.
Yeah.
That's right.
We can use the kids to pressure the parents.
Right, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
another door open.
Send it home as
That's a
homework.
great idea.
Right?
Phil-
And
Phil-
it's like, because I'm also sensing, like, in this room, I'm sensing this energy of, like, we want to build community. And again, apart from the plan, just how do we actually reach people?
When the tax bills go out, we also have the QR code.
Well, you know, that's come up 100 times for different things, Alan, and it's a great thing to bring up. And the excuse has always been, we sub that out, and they do the mailing, so it's harder for us to do. Now, harder just usually means it's gonna cost you something to do it. And I think this is worthy of breaking the walls down and getting it done.
And honestly,
I think it's a
the few
great
of us got
idea. I think
together
every possibility, get something before somebody's a good idea.
They don't want to miss the deadline. Opportunity.
Right.
What is the timeline for the survey?
So there's no real deadline by which we need to close it,
I don't think
except
it
we
should be.
wanted to leave it open through this first workshop, so that if someone comes to the workshop and says, well, I didn't know about the survey, or I haven't taken it yet.
Right.
Like, you still have a couple weeks to take the survey. So, it kind of, the survey will be open kind of as long as the workshop is still around. So I think that, again, it might be April, it might be June. There's no pressure at least from our side, to like close this by a certain date.
I would say at least midsummer, because you want to catch some of the summer crowd and get their input. I know they can't
I'm-
vote at the end, but I think it's important to get that in.
August, honestly, like,
Yeah.
if that's not too late, I feel like
It
maybe
will
a
be
good
too, yeah.
Yeah, we may need to analyze some data at some
Before that, yeah.
point.
Like,
Yeah,
keep
just say, here's
collecting.
what we've got so far,
Yeah.
and then maybe do another one at the end.
What about a booth at Sebago Day?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
and the market.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways that we want to proceed here. And this gets back to the role of the committee. And I didn't know if there were people, either as like a subcommittee, or maybe this whole group wants to be involved in those kinds of outreach activities, as far as like going to the restaurant, or being at Sebago Days, or doing something at the library. I feel like the one thing that we can do, whether it's at the workshop, whether it's helping prepare materials, is kind of help support this group with outreach. We've scoped a certain amount of outreach that we're gonna do and we're gonna be at, but that material, you guys can have it, and you can go do as many of these like individual, maybe smaller workshops, or just kind of informal sessions on an as-needed basis. But I think if there's energy in this group about being the ambassadors and getting this out there, we could do a little more work at this level, maybe coordinating some of that and understanding what do you need to have those conversations with people, and how do we collect the information that you're getting. That's the other thing about those, when we have 2 or 3 questions that rotate around the community, we want there to be consistency, so that you're asking the same questions that you're asking, and we can do some comparisons at the end and kind of coordinate that a little bit. So I guess maybe by show of hands, is there interest, like, are you personally interested in being involved in public outreach, whether it's?
I feel like it's gonna fall on
Yeah.
I think
So we had kind of kicked around the idea of, would there be a subcommittee, 4 or 5 people, but it sounds like
I think that was the assumption of most of us when we signed up, that.
everybody wants to be involved in that
You're
part
gonna
of it.
have to Get out and.
I will be at the breakfast all morning, so I can do stuff there.
That's on the 22nd, so we would need you to produce, the town to produce something to have at that breakfast. That's you said there's 700 people going to that. It's a great opportunity.
What percentage do
yeah,
you think is
700
missing?
people.
It depends on how they come in and stuff.
I'd say probably 60.
I was gonna say half, but yeah.
Not all of them are.
Yeah, there's certainly
A good
child
And their
stated from away,
families
but
too, so.
many of them have ties to Sebago, and that's why they're coming.
Yeah. And that goes back to the point earlier, is like, you may not be a resident, but
I think we
it's
got
to care about.
700 surveys there, if there's, if you.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if we
700
got half of
people
them, that's
running
300
through, I'd make
responses.
sure they leave with a survey.
So,
And if you're asking those questions, if we have a couple of questions that you're asking, it's something like that breakfast, then one of them should be, are you a resident?
But that's in the
I don't
survey.
know, conversation starter too.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
That's the conversation starter, I think I would start with anything,
Yeah.
is are you a resident? Because I don't know, if I wasn't a resident and I wasn't really,
No, I mean, that could be, if we had like 2, 3 questions, one of them could be, and we could tell them, because you're gonna talk to the person first, and tell them that it doesn't matter. If you have the time to Sebago, it matters to us.
so I think, is it on the 21st or 22nd?
22nd.
Okay, so we can work toward that. And what I'm picturing is some handouts, whether they're 8.5 by 11 or half that size as a like big postcard or a business card, something like that, along with those 2 or 3 questions up on a easel with, and
Love that.
that might be enough.
yeah, they're not
Along
gonna
with
wanna
our-
stand and talk forever, they're coming for breakfast.
Exactly.
So it's more
And I
about
also think like,
engage a little bit and give them something to read.
and
Do they want a physical copy of the survey though?
Yes,
I think it'd be great to have, a few dozen of them. I don't know if you guys are gonna plan on handing one to every single person, but lots of times that postcard or the handout will say, go to the website to take the survey.
Except that's where we lose them.
And then they throw that away when they get in the car.
Yeah.
Kids wreck it.
we should
Yeah,
have,
but
we
you
should
are
have
there.
a good amount of them because they might do it while they're eating breakfast.
If I had a couple,
Oh, yeah,
put a
you,
couple of sugar house as well, but the large percentage of those folks are not Sebago residents. So
How about we just don't let them leave until they do it?
Well, that was
Okay,
kind of
then
where
you
my head was going is, they could take
It's gonna be a lot of
a
pancakes.
survey just as easily as a business card and have it be in the recycle bin, but if they're gonna fill it out there while they're
if the
waiting for
poster's there with a
seconds or
QR
something.
code where they can,
Right,
at least it's on their phone, then when they go
leave it
home.
alone, yeah.
okay.
Can it still go on the menu? Is there still time?
Yeah, I
don't
can
know,
add that,
I mean,
we
it's
can
gonna
add the
cover
QR
the
code.
I
We're
mean, on
getting-
the placemat.
If we have a QR code ready,
Yeah,
I'm ordering placemats this week for that, so.
That'd be
That'll
great.
be.
You could do a QR code and say
Yeah.
That would
something
be
little,
great.
but the kids can't color that, so.
Yeah, it will,
Right.
it will be the same size as like our Venmo one, so it'll be.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah, you don't wanna make the kids unhappy.
I have a practical question.
Parents don't have to,
I will confess, I have not found the survey, and I kind of looked for it. Not, I mean, I didn't like really look, but I kind of did, and I
Okay.
thought like, shouldn't be, anyways. That was hard to confess, I'm sorry.
We heard that earlier.
When we leave here, our marching order should be, we share with our different communities, but how do we tell them to find it? Is there a QR code now? Is there?
That's, yeah, we're gonna need that as part of the
Like,
process.
yeah.
I just made copies and gave them to a bunch of people.
So, yeah, we have the survey on the website, so you can go to Plan Sebago. I think one of the things that we're gonna do this week is make sure that
They get a hot button or something.
It's like button.
Right there when you go there.
we want it to be a little higher up on the page, I
Yes,
think.
good, yeah.
But,
That'd be right on the entry page.
yeah, so that's something we can do, but I think the awareness is something we're counting on you, yeah.
I'm on a totally different space right now. This is
Okay.
the teacher coming out of this.
Yes.
Okay? We're all talking about the comprehensive plan and getting to the surveys and handing out the
Right.
what the hell is a comprehensive plan?
That's what I said,
We have a
Tina.
paragraph
I don't know.
that, so that we all have the same information.
a good point.
It's on the website, Tina.
That's-
But is it,
It's already on there.
I know, I've seen the website,
Okay.
but
Concise
it's,
Yeah.
okay.
Sweet.
But
You
we
need an
should,
elevator
that should be
speaker.
our homework.
Bullets.
That should be our homework, leaving here, is to say,
And
we know what that is.
We need that elevator pitch.
What?
An elevator pitch, a very short brief that we all have the
Right.
same,
The same sentence.
Tagline.
people are gonna
Same
get tired of
answer to
listening
what
to
is
it.
the
They're gonna listen,
comprehensive
but-
And if you haven't read this thing, as boring as it is, you gotta read it, okay? So that you can truly understand the total complexity of this town.
What is that, Tina? Is that the existing
The
comp
original.
plan?
That's
I'll
what we
tell
have.
you, I scanned through the whole thing today, and I've done parts of it before,
Yeah.
like you have. But it's an amazing document, and the concept is there, the coverage is there. I advise everybody to get a copy of that and read it. It's a darn good read. People put a ton of work into that when they did it last time, and they, number one, deserve some credit out of this group, and a thank you. I don't know if they ever got thanked at the end of the other process.
My wife was in that original one.
I think my mom was too.
Yeah.
It's an amazing piece of
It
information,
is, it's a
It will
marvelous
make our lives a
document.
lot
and I think
easier.
our job
I
is
couldn't
to
convince her to read on
upgrade
this
that,
one.
not create that.
One was enough.
You know, I don't think our job is to create a new train here. I think the job is to take
Update it.
a wonderful
Update it.
document that we have and upgrade
Clean it
it.
up,
Yeah.
modernize it.
Yeah.
to-
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael passed
Yeah,
out
and move
copies
forward.
last meeting.
Yeah, I heartily agree that folks should familiarize themselves. You don't need to memorize it, but just
No,
know what it is and kind of what it is,
That'll
what
tell
it
you.
does. We can
Yeah, but there's
send,
always it's there.
we can send later this week,
Zoe, is it
An elevator
possible to put
pitch.
the whole thing on something that you can present?
I mean, I could do it
I was
digitally.
talking
but-
to Zoe.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. I'm not sure what, I wasn't quite following the question anyways, so I'm glad you
I don't
started.
know how big a thing you
Well,
can promote
I think it
through
goes
your avenue.
back to
Like
what
on Facebook or
he
like?
was getting ready to say, I think. And
Probably
then
a link
Yeah,
to
let's
the
let
plan.
him.
I'm sorry.
we have to very succinctly explain to people, not just what it is, but why it's important.
Yeah.
It drives our ordinances, it drives being able to write grant, like, it's like the underpinning of what we want our town to look like in 5 or 10 years, and it goes to economics, and it goes to,
Everything's built up.
so you're
Yeah.
right, Tina,
Yeah.
people have to understand what it is, but they also have to understand why it's important, and it's gotta be quick and punchy, to your point, because it can't be complicated. If it's
Yeah, yeah,
complicated, no one wants to read it.
What, why, how?
The only ones that read it then are the people that have read it anyway. You know, why that, care
If
about
we
it.
boil that down to what, why, and how,
Yep.
what is it? Why are we doing it? And how are we doing it? You're doing it. You want it done, do
How
it.
is it,
Or how
why
it
is it
affect you.
important to the town?
You want, I'm sorry,
Like, what does it do? What's the point? What's the purpose? Why does it matter?
To the individual.
Yeah, exactly.
you can go anywhere with it. What, why, and how, and that's,
All right, well, what were you gonna say?
I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna say, I can send a few bullet points and a very short description of what it is and why it's important. And each of you can internalize that and kind of explain however you're comfortable explaining that. All of those reasons, grants, zoning, land use ordinances, and more. So I think we've covered a lot of good ground tonight as far as like awareness and making sure as many people as possible understand what this is, why we're doing it, how they can get involved, whether it's taking 10 minutes to stop by or answer a quick question in town, or taking 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes to fill out a survey. I think what I've heard is timing a larger community workshop is, thinking about it in April is too early. I don't know if it's end of May, sometime in June. We probably don't want to get it too close to Sebago days and, you know, the fun summer things that people are gonna want to spend an evening doing
July is
something.
busy.
But, you know,
Can we
maybe.
do one early for like everyone who's in town now and get everyone going and then do something smaller a little later for, again, to kind of reinforce for the people who are, I wouldn't want to lose our momentum. I mean, if we
Right.
wait till July or August, I mean, we don't have a lot of time after that.
Yeah, I feel like we are really just starting to build some momentum. There are a lot of people in town who still haven't heard of the survey, to the point earlier.
That's the first.
So I think that, you know, we don't need to rush to have a meeting in April if it's too early and people don't exactly know what we're gonna share or what we're gonna ask for at this point. But I also agree, we don't need to wait till August because there's a lot of good opportunities to reach people between now and then that we want to take advantage of. So maybe that's enough for now, rather than trying to think about, you know, open house versus structured presentation versus community dinner. Like, maybe we can say that for next month, knowing that this is gonna kind of be maybe after Memorial Day, but before the end of June.
Is there gonna be a central location for supplies for any of us that choose to go out into public, to make, like, the flipboards, the easels, et cetera?
I think the central place for supplies is we will be able to get posters and flip chart size paper to the town office, to Garrett. And then anybody who's available to kind of do that, we'll want to coordinate a little bit so we understand where things are going to be and when they're going to be out and about. I do like a little more structure around the rotating and knowing where those venues are going to be, and maybe have someone from the committee or Garrett like going out on, you know, Monday morning to move the signs over a period of several weeks. But I also really like the idea of people kind of doing what they can, where they can, even if it's just talking with people on a dog walk, or if it's, you know, kind of being somewhere and talking with people in a place like that. So I think there's, again, the mix of providing some materials, providing some structure, and then letting people just kind of be the ambassadors of the community, if that works. I think that's kind of what I've heard this evening.
So have you ever done a logo for something? Because we need something to start signs, start banners.
To brand the
maybe
project.
energy needs to get going.
Yeah, so I think with that, we did start a conversation, and I think in the question we asked to this group, do you remember the question we asked about what would be, you know, future Sebago, Sebago forward, or, you know, any of those kinds of names?
Oh, naming it.
What do we call this thing?
It's our Sebago.
Our Sebago?
Your Sebago.
Your Sebago.
My Sebago.
So for expediency on the website, because we had to get that up, we had Plan Sebago. And I heard someone say, that name stinks.
Oh, God, yeah.
And
I like it.
that's okay.
I'm shy.
It's what it is.
I like it.
Your plan, Sebago.
How about we love Sebago?
So I guess
Well, that was
my,
something that we filled out on the initial surveys.
Yes.
Did you get a consensus back? Did you get any?
no concern.
That's not bad, Kurt.
What about the
That
future of
carries.
Sebago?
How
That
about we
relates.
The future
post
of
what we
Sebago?
all thought of for names and we vote on it?
So, my point was, we have a website, and we have some colors that came, you know.
From the town logo primarily, yeah.
So, is the town logo something we can use for this, or should it not be the town logo?
No,
No.
we don't have a good digital emblem.
We need to make a good.
Yes, it does. If somebody wants to, it has to be hand traced as far as I know, so.
What's it cost to generate something like that?
Take a picture and throw it through AI.
We can do something simple.
It isn't that hard. Take a picture of it, throw it through AI, it'll do it for you.
How about the mural right there?
So
That's a little large.
We haven't budgeted graphic design into this logo design. So we could come up with something. I think the colors in the logo are what we had used on the website. So if those are good, and maybe we'll just have like a short exercise at the next meeting to kind of come up with a name of what we want to put on the plan document and some of the materials going forward. Otherwise, we can start producing these things with a website, which won't change no matter what we call it.
So are we talking waiting until like late spring or summer to do this stuff, or are we gonna have another meeting coming right up?
Our next meeting is
March 23rd.
23rd.
the 23rd.
It should be always I think it's the fourth Monday.
March.
Oh, okay.
The fourth Monday of every month.
So we can get this started without an official name beyond the website, which is gonna carry through this whole thing. So we don't have to call it Plan Sebago if there's strong feelings against Plan Sebago. But I feel like, you know, we will be able to do some materials, some posters, and other supporting material for folks to start getting out, even if we add a more official title in the coming months.
But we'll have something for the.
Yeah.
For the pancake breakfast, yes, 100%. So your homework is promote the survey. There's hard copies at the town office. I think we will probably want to talk about how many more special prints we need to make for the pancake breakfast, but my hope is that there's going to be hard copies at the library and the town office at the very least. I know there's some here at the town office, we saw some.
The library has some too, I believe.
Post
office.
We're gonna get a QR code to Zoe to put on the placemats.
So in addition to promoting the survey, thinking about what you can do to kind of help spread the word, is to email Garrett some of that networking work that we started the meeting with. We can send an example of what we've started, so that what we're really hoping to do is understand what are the groups and organizations in town that we should be reaching out to, and who are the people that kind of make those things happen? Who are the people that make things happen in town that we can make sure that they're on our email list and make sure that they're aware of these events?
They're all here in this room.
I had a sense there were a good number of them in here, but if there's other folks out there, we want to make sure that they know about it. And for this next meeting as well, we're gonna start, we've started working on the inventory. So a lot of the things that you'll read in the current comprehensive plan, it's more of like a look back or an existing conditions. We call them the inventories. It's like a book report of, kind of a summary of natural resources, a summary of town facilities, a summary of, the history, those kinds of things that we call the inventory chapters. We started work on the inventory chapters, and we're gonna have some drafts of those at each meeting over the next several meetings. My hope is that those will be reviewed and commented on, maybe at a high level at the meetings, but probably more in the background or by email, so that the focus of the work and, the one time a month we have a chance to get together, it can be a lot like what we had tonight. How are we doing in outreach? Who haven't we heard from yet? And getting more into the specifics of some of these workshops and other ways we're going to be reaching out.
Cool. Just a time thing. When do we have the materials and stuff? Are we going to be pretty much like sick on the town? Let us go, let us do our thing.
We can get copies right now from Garrett, of the hard copies of it, and if you hand it to someone, there's a pretty good chance they're gonna fill it. If you hand it to them, chaplain briefly,
Right.
It's a pretty good chance they're gonna fill it out versus
Then they gotta
if you
bring
just
it
say,
back.
go to the website, look at this, find this, print it off.
Or, you know, here's a pen, here's the survey, I'll take it when you're done.
Yeah,
Kind of
no,
thing.
exactly.
So-
My point is, because we are all motivated, none of us want to wait till next month.
Right.
So as soon as the stuff is ready, if we could be notified so that we can hit the road.
And is everyone on that comprehensive plan email list?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So I think that's gonna be how we're gonna work with Garrett, and Garrett's gonna make sure that people are getting the elevator speech, notice that the materials are ready,
Oh, yeah.
those kinds of things.
Because you can do that.
How can we check if we're on the list or not?
Check with Garrett before you leave this evening. So agendas, meeting materials, like those will be coming through the email. Yep.
And your logo suggestions, can we vote on that? Pretty please, that's the one vote that I think we.
Yeah, let's see how that develops. I think we could come up with maybe a couple options for people to look at, but I think the main thing is.
Or do you want us to work on that as well?
What do people think of that?
I'm gonna send a picture, that picture on the wall over there, I'm gonna send to him later, because all you do is run it through, it's on the other side, just
The
run
town,
it
yeah.
down.
Just, yeah, I think it should be simple. I don't wanna spend
Yeah.
a lot of time trying to revise our logo and everything.
Right.
Get something that makes sense
And something recognizable.
And not the like, I
Yeah.
feel like it's just overused.
You know, who it benefits is the kids that are in the school right now, the most.
The plan.
So how about a picture of the school, or a picture of some of the kids at the school, or all of the kids at the school, or you know, how they take at the end of the year?
Yeah.
I'm gonna share.
Is there any other thoughts? The logo, I think, was a good ad.
Something I wonder, you'll give us bullet, like, description of what a comprehensive plan is. Is there a chance for, is there like a way of having a live document so people can comment or add to, or?
My idea was to give the basics of what it is, and then leave it up to each person. Like, it doesn't need to be the one that we all use, because everyone's gonna explain it a little differently, and I think it should be meaningful to you, and if you wanna focus more on the grants, and I heard someone talk about land use, you know, it could be a little different depending on who you're talking to, or just maybe your own background too.
Is there a place at the Maple Sunday to have a laptop open? Is there service?
At the pancake breakfast?
Yeah.
But the town hall has
That's
Wi-Fi.
gonna cluster. Have you been, like,
Yeah.
to the pancake breakfast?
It's wall to wall.
It's gonna be like
It's not conducive to that kind of thing.
Okay.
It is insane and stuff, so.
There will be a line, but like if there's a volunteer that can like stand there in line
Yes,
and
you
hand
can
things
hand
out.
if there's a
But a
without, you can
computer
talk
would probably
briefly,
be.
but not a computer, not, and no one's gonna have time to stand there and do a survey.
I put quarters easier, I think.
Yeah, so I think as you're handing out surveys, also make it clear to people that they can go online to do it, because someone, you know,
Right.
may not want to be like, ugh, I gotta take 10 minutes right now while someone's watching me do this. I think, you
Well,
know,
if I have a card, if we have a card.
exactly.
I could say, would you rather go on, I mean, they might just go on their phone and do it right then. I don't know, but I'm just saying, it's a shuffle, it's a move through, it's not a, we all chat for hours, you know?
Yeah,
No,
you gotta
no.
get pancakes to eat. Yeah, I get it.
I was gonna share my creative juices for the logo.
She doesn't even know.
I tried her out, but she doesn't know. You know, you're saying your town, our town? Well, our is part of your. Then the Y was the ears and the face. And here's the body.
Yeah, I know, I'm like, what is it?
Even you write town over here.
I asked her
Simple.
what it was, she said, I don't know.
It's the Sebago rabbit.
We're gonna go that route, have the kids do a contest. Let the kids do a contest.
All right, and so,
They did a job.
your homework is at the bottom of the agenda. If you have questions, contact Garrett. And I think with that, thanks for a good meeting.